Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and happy holidays if you are listening in present day. This is Speaking Lion, and welcome back to DLC Required, a podcast where gamers talk about gaming and whatever gamers talk about. This week, we do have EpicNNG joining us for more Borderlands 4 hype. Can you believe it? Can you believe that we talk about Borderlands on here? It's insane. Who would have thought? Like, any of us liking Borderlands, having so much to say about a trailer that dropped at the Game Awards that still blew my mind, and probably the internet's mind and IGN's mind and every other publication that's ever picked up any quote from Twitter that I've seen. It's a fun one. It's actually a surprising deep dive of lore. And, you know, if you figured out anything about me, it's that when someone can match my freak with lore, I think we have a very good time. So it's, if you don't know Epic, a interesting dive into his mind. Epic is one of the top modders in our community. You probably know him from his massive overhaul mods for Redux, for Wonderlands and BL3 and TPS. He's honestly just a powerhouse in what he does, and it's really fascinating the love he does pour into these games and how massive these mods are. He put pearls back in with some of these mods, fixed so much that a lot of the community really wanted to see with Wonderlands when the game just didn't get that same post-game support. So much positivity actually coming from projects like that in the community. So really excited to have him on and for you to see this potentially new side of him as we talk theories for Borderlands 4 and honestly a lot of the pre-sequel. So if you haven't played the pre-sequel, one, what are you doing? It's the best game in the franchise. We love her here. Great time to revisit. Great time to revisit. Have fun, guys.
You know what's crazy, but can I just say, you know what's crazy about you Americans is
oh my god,
you guys are so social. It's actually kind of wild. Like you are very prone to talking to each other. Like it's weird. Like I got off the plane and just like I don't know. Like I can't even explain it. It's just weird. Like if I said, I don't know if it's gonna make sense or sound weird, but like it feels like everyone's ready to receive a hug. Whereas in the UK, it feels like everybody's ready to defend themselves from one.
I think it depends on what part of the US you go to. Like if you're going to like the southern states or like a hospitality kind of area, sure. If you're going to New York or California, like when I first moved to LA, I'm from the South originally. I lived in Portland for like a year before, so I was like up in Oregon. But I'd moved to LA and I was nannying for these kids, and it was like 13 and 10 years old at the time. And I remember we were walking down the street, and it was like a gentrified area. It was nice. It wasn't like Hollywood Boulevard where people are trying to like hustle you with CDs. It was just like people out going to bookstores and stuff. And I made eye contact with someone and I was like, hey, how's it going? And the 13-year-old was like, oh my God, you can't do that. That's so embarrassing. And I was like, I'm being polite. Like I worked in retail. We made eye contact. I said, hi. He's like, we don't do that in California. We don't. Like, you don't talk to people. I'm like, oh, okay. So I feel like you would get along well in New York, California vibe, because that is much more the like stereotypical British, like mind yourself kind of vibe. But yeah, going to the South, it's like a slight if you don't talk to people. Like if I get made fun of still by my friends here, and I've been here for 10 years because I will strike up a conversation with a like waiter or bartender or cashier, and they're like, you're so annoying. Every time.
I like the friendly vibes. Like I do like to just interact with. Like I think the thing is, a lot of people they're not used to being paid just a simple compliment. Like, you know, like you go to the store and someone brings you up and you just say like, have a great day. Like that's the kind of style I like, is just give someone a little passing compliment and just like, I don't know, you just make people smile. Like it sounds cheesy, but like that is such a better environment to live in. Like in your everyday life is like going to the store and not having to worry about just being ignored and someone throwing your shit back at you and like not bagging it up or anything. Like it's cool to just be cool with people.
Does that happen? Do you just get shit thrown back at you at the till?
Not often. Sometimes it'll happen and I'll just be like, you know, thank you, have a good day, and they'll be like, you too, and I'll be like, well, fuck. You could have, you know, I mean, shit, which one is it? Like,
I'm getting mixed signals here.
Yeah, it's like I'm fine to bag it up myself, but I mean, fuck, the way you rang me up there didn't seem like you wanted me to have a nice day. Like I'm chilling either way, but like, you know, so it's just like, I don't know. I feel like some people just don't get compliments enough. Like guys yeah. is the biggest one. I've noticed guys don't get compliments often. Like compliment a guy on his hair and he'll be like, oh, thank you.
it is fun sometimes to like just genuinely throw it out there, and it's like drunk girl and bathroom energy. Give it to guys, and it throws them off their axis, and it's fun.
Yeah, yeah. There's this story that I don't tell it often, but like it's the weird. It truly what you just said. It does shock the system. So I went to see AEW, which is like a pro wrestling thing. I went to Wembley, and there was like 50,000 people there. And I didn't want to miss any of the matches, but at one point I was like, dude, I gotta go. It's been like 6 hours. So I went up to the bathrooms, and these stores are just like, they're just like fucking pig pissers, like on the walls. And I'm just like, I'm a cubicle guy. Like I'm not like, I'm cool. Like I want to be comfortable in my own bubble, and there's no space for a bubble on these things. Like people are shoulder to shoulder.
Oh,
and
God, no.
I was like, fuck, like I just got to get back down there, just man up and do it. I went in there, found a spot. And this dude came and stood next to me and was very close, shoulder to shoulder. And then I was like, oh, man, this is awkward. Like, it's all right, cool. He's looking at the ceiling too, so it's like, it's cool. And this dude, right, he moves over to the left, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, that was weird. He was awfully close. And then he whispered in my ear, and he goes, thought I'd give you a little bit of space there. And I was like, what the fuck, bro? I was like, why would you say that? Why would you fucking say that? Just go about your day, bro. Like, that's when I'm like, all right, bro, we need less contact here, because why would you say that?
Made this
I was like,
so weird now.
I was like, that was so weird. Why did you do that? Like, that's got very much, like, bathroom friends energy, but I don't fucking know you, bro. like
yeah,
why did you just do that?
That doesn't happen in the same energy. That would feel threatening if that happened in any bathroom. But that's not.
I was like, hold on, was he looking at the ceiling there? Because why did you do that? Why did you move away and then lean in and whisper to me?
I like to think that's just like the inverse of like the also socially awkward, like, okay, God, I'm too close. Okay, well, he's going to think that I'm too close to him, so I need to lean this way. So I need to make sure to say something so he knows that I wasn't trying to be too close to him. And then it comes out like that, and you're like, fuck, I'm going to go kill myself. Bye. Like,
he's got that internal anxiety. He's like, fuck, I got to let him know I wasn't looking at his dick. Like,
literally.
When he whispers in my ear, he's like, oh, fuck, now he totally thinks I was looking at
Literally, because it's the opposite. It's the opposite in girl bathrooms. Like, you'll be sitting there and you'll literally be washing your hands and be, oh my God, your boobs look amazing. Like, you just say it in a girl's bathroom.
I've never had that happen.
You've never had someone tell you your boobs look amazing? I'm sorry.
No, I'm like 146. I'm flat chested as fuck.
That's so nice. Someone will tell you have good boobs. A drunk girl will absolutely tell you at some point. Like, drunk girl compliments just like free flow from your brain sometimes, where you don't. Like, when you hit that level, I have no memory of anything, but I'll be, like, so passionate about someone's shirt and why it's, like, the best shirt I've ever seen. Like, it just so comes from the soul. So at some point, you'll experience it.
I think when dudes are drunk, you kind of get that energy sometimes. Like, I was at a bar at TwitchCon, and it was weird. Like, me and this dude were kind of... Maybe we had a drink or two, but anyway, I was waiting in line to get to the bar, and, like, this was after the concert. I mean, you couldn't get anywhere. Like, this thing was like, there was no standing space in this bar. It was just, there was so many people, or rather there was only standing space, but I couldn't get to the bar. I was waiting to get a drink, and this guy just like shoves me from behind. He's like, go, go, go. And in the back of my mind, the Londoner, I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Like, like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And then he actually got me to the front of the bar. I got my drink, and then I turned around, and he was smiling at me, and he daps me up, and he goes, I'm sorry, I didn't have to do you like that, bro, but I just really was trying to help you out there. And I was like, yo, no worries, bro. Like, that's cool as fuck. And he was like, where are you from? He's like, yo, come hang out with me and my friends. We're chilling. And we just like we were just dancing and shit. So sometimes you've got that good energy. People are looking out for each other.
It's the purest energy, honestly. You don't get it all the time. It's like, it's truly a Russian roulette of drunk if you're going to have that experience. But oh my God, when you do, it's magical.
Oh yeah, it feels like you've met like a lifetime friend. Like they're just, I like that energy with people when you've never met someone before, but it feels like you've known them your whole life.
And you just commit for that night. You're just like, yes, this is someone I would like sign 100%. My will over to. You will be the godfather of my child. And you have this insane, like, dumbest conversations, like in and out 2, 3 in the morning, and you never talk to them again.
Yeah, it's like, you are my homie for tonight. Like, you don't have to like it, but this is what we've got now.
We're in this now together.
Yes, you are all I have right now. Don't leave me.
It's so good. It's the premise of some of my most favorite stories always, but Yeah, no, I don't know how I would handle someone awkwardly in my ear telling me I thought I'd give you some space while, you know, pissing. I
Yeah,
don't.
I haven't used. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't used a public urinal since. Like I hadn't up until that point for years because of that very fear, and it happened, and I was like, great.
It
I was
is
like, never doing that
comical.
again.
It is comical that it just reinforces the aversion to urinal at that point. You're like, okay, get over the anxiety, it'll be fine, just use it. And then the thing happens, you're like, nope, never doing it again. Like when your anxiety gets confirmed like that, it feels like a shot to the chest.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the worst.
I was like, I'm not. I'm never doing this again. This is the worst experience ever. I didn't see the guy's face either. I didn't look in his direction. All I knew was his shoulder.
And his voice in your ear, which is it's a very intimate thing. Like just whispering in someone's
It
ear.
felt intimate.
Yeah. Not the place.
I think in the moment I was just like, thanks, bro. Like, appreciate that.
Like just clap his shoulder on the way out. Like, yeah, cool, got you.
I don't even know if I finished the piece.
At that point, I'd be gone. I'd be like, we're wrapping this up.
Through short. I was like, fuck it. If I'm pissing myself for the rest of this is happening, I just wanted to get out of there. I was spooked. I was like a fucking spooked horse.
I feel like that in the bathroom stalls. I feel like this is like an American thing I'll see on Twitter, but I feel like it has to be everywhere. But the stalls that have like an absurd amount of gap between the door and the actual stall, where you're just making eye contact with people through the stall into the bigger part of the bathroom. Like, do you guys have those out there?
What the fuck? Well, like a spectator pod?
Yeah, literally a glory hole in everyone. No, like literally so many airports have this specifically. Like bars are better about it, but like you'll have the bathroom stall and then the door, but the door doesn't quite fit the bathroom stall. And so there's like 2 inches of space on either side of the door. So you can like see the sink and see people. So when people are doing the thing in a crowded bathroom where they're seeing if people are in a stall, you just make eye contact with all these people while you're trying to just use the fucking bathroom. And it's the worst thing in the world. It's the worst. I'm just like, how bad do I need to do this? I don't need to do this right now. We're wrapping this up. It's fine. Just I'll pee later. It's nope. Saw nothing. It's fine. Most uncomfortable experience. Bathrooms, man.
I don't think I don't think we have that over here.
It's okay. When you come to the US, I will show you these bathrooms. You'll come to LA and I will be like, yes, let me show you the cursed bathroom stalls. It'll be the worst.
Every bathroom?
It's most bathrooms. It's like some of the like new high-rise buildings, stuff like that will have the ones that are like floor to ceiling where then you're claustrophobic and go, oh my god, I'm locked in by most. And because we just don't update stuff a lot of the time. Like bathrooms aren't something that get really overhauled in public settings. So like park bathrooms, airport bathrooms, anything that has multiple stalls, like a long line of them, Universal, things like that. Disneyland is a little bit better about it. But yeah, no, it's most public bathrooms. Some are just way worse than others.
Well, again, we just spoke about, the Borderlands house too. I mean, it might just happen. I mean, I think if we do it this time, it's got to be if they do like a Borderlands 4 event. That's the perfect time to do it, and we've just got to get. It has to be the biggest roster of Vault Hunters yet.
It does.
I think what did we have at the first one? 7 people. We got to go 14 this time.
You gotta double it. You gotta, or 4 times it if we're lucky. Just really commit to the number 4, or at least make it divisible by 4. I think that'd be fun.
You can make it a battle royale.
Hell yeah!
Fight to the death for their spot.
Just turn it into Survivor, and every night we vote someone out.
Yeah, it would be like the Big Brother house.
Yeah, just make it a deathbed. We're cut off from Twitter. None of us know what's going on. None of us know what actually got announced or confirmed, but we're stuck in this house. Whoever is wrong gets kicked out.
I think we did the math in the first Borderlands house that we could have fit like another 7 people there. They just have to bring sleeping bags for the floor. But like we could have made it work. I mean, I think I slept on the couch most nights because I was hammered.
Yeah, that happens. I heard, I don't know if you want to publicly talk about this, your Chipotle and hot dog bun?
Oh, come on. Look. Okay, so here's the thing. People think okay, let me ask you, what do you think people eat in the UK primarily? Like on the average night, what do you think someone eats in the UK?
Beans, toast, meat.
That is awful. Actually, that might actually be pretty. I feel like if you're broke, then maybe.
I was like, I feel like in general, you just eat normal food. Like I have English friends, so it's like I never think about it like
Okay, all right. So yeah, so you
Yeah,
so you know fairly well. So we in the UK we have so many like I guess you call them like shawarma places or
I fucking
something, but
love
like
shawarma.
we call them like kebab shops,
Yeah,
and you'll get like fried chicken, fries, pizzas there, burgers, sandwiches, whatever you guys want to call them. But like, yeah, like a kebab is basically like shawarma, and it comes with like pita bread, and then you get like salad on there. And that's basic. I got a burrito bowl from Chipotle, and that's basic. My first when I tasted it, I was like, "Oh, this just tastes like a kebab in a bowl." Like, so what do I put on kebabs? I put ketchup and mayonnaise. Like that was it. So yeah, my burrito bowl from Chipotle got topped with ketchup and mayonnaise. Oh, and I took a hot dog bun, and I scooped it into the hot dog bun, and I ate it like that.
is it
That
true
was
or
what I was.
false that this was for breakfast?
Oh, absolutely. I don't have like a breakfast, lunch, dinner schedule. Like,
Well, yeah, we're recording in the middle of the night for you, so yeah, that
oh
makes
yeah.
sense.
I mean, yeah, I'll eat anything at any point in the day.
That's
Like,
fair.
I'm cooked. I'm well and truly cooked. So no, this was for breakfast, and no, the guys judged me for it really bad. I was like, you guys are crazy.
Here's
This
the
is
thing.
great.
I think this is punishable by death. However, the grace I will give you is that Chipotle doesn't like in my brain taste like this is Mexican food. It tastes like Chipotle. So it's not like if you told me you had like actual Mexican food and you put ketchup and mayo and got a hot dog bun, I'd be like, what the fuck, why? I'm still like that with Chipotle, but when you explain it like that, okay, like fine. It's a very safe amount of seasoning. It's very similar spice palette, I feel like, to like Mediterranean at that point. If you're yeah, like I can fuck with that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bowl of like rice, like beef, chicken, like grated cheese, some salad. Like, I was like, dude, this fucking absolutely would hit with some ketchup and mayonnaise over it. Like, because you put the mayonnaise to cut out the acidity of the ketchup. And I also put the mayonnaise to cut out the red 40 in it, because I'm sure you guys fucking slide that
Oh,
in at some point.
I'm sure it's there. But also, this is disgusting sounding. Mayo and ketchup. You're putting a oh God. I'm
Oh,
trying
it's
to be on your
good.
side here. No.
Are you not like a mixologist with sauces?
I'm a mixologist with sauces. I have a thing, and partly this is chat, but I have a thing against mayo. Like, it just become like a meme at this point to try to get me to just eat spoonfuls of mayonnaise. And I don't mind mayo when it's mixed in things. Like, I like chicken salad. I like mayo. I like aiolis. I like, deviled eggs, which is a very white person thing of me, and whatever. Like, I can eat mayo, but if it's just like, here's a chunk of mayonnaise, if I see what I'm eating, no, like there's something about the taste and texture of it, and like, I don't, no, cannot just do it on its own. And so the idea of having to like put it in on something sacred like Mexican food, putting it on top of that, and then just mixing with it. But it's weird because I like sour cream. So who the fuck am I? Like, what is this block I have with mayo? Just no.
Well, see, it's weird. I hate sour cream, but like what I do with mayonnaise, I have this one sauce I make. I call it garlic you. It's fucking genius. I take garlic mayonnaise and barbecue sauce, and I go like an even
That would
ratio.
slap. That would slap.
And it's like a creamy. It's like an aioli. But like the thing is, like when I came to the US, like everyone got so upset. They were like, "Oh my god, he's doing what to our Chipotle?" I was like, "Yeah, fucking theory crafting. Like, I get to come over there and just play with shit randomly. Like, oh, I'm all about that. Your guys' stuff is getting absolutely fucking ripped on. I think we went to a seafood place and I just ordered a plate of fried calamari just
Hell
on
yeah.
its own.
Hell yeah.
Which calamari, that let me tell you that it
It
tastes
slaps.
like nothing.
It
I think it tastes. I think it literally has no taste.
a lot of places don't. Like if it's like really fried, like sometimes I'm like, this tastes like grease. Like very sometimes I'm like seasoning, but I think it's just like places that use Old Bay, and then my ass is like, hell yeah, Old Bay seasoning, let's go. And that's about
Yeah.
it.
It to me, it just tasted like I was just like it tastes like fried. I don't know. It didn't really have. It wasn't as chewy as I thought either. People always say it's chewy. I didn't think it was chewy. I was just like, yeah, it's just. It is what it is. It's
Calamari's a lot like shrimp to me, where you can have very good shrimp and then very just mediocre. This is shrimp. I feel like it's the fried variety definitely fucks with it with calamari.
I know people like don't enjoy sometimes when shrimp has that weird fishy taste, but I'm like the opposite. I'm like, if it doesn't taste
I love the fishy
anything-
taste. Yeah,
Like
it's
you know
like
when it's like juicy too. It's got that like yeah, like you know what I'm saying? Like
hell yeah, so good.
That's what I'm all about.
I love seafood though. Like K6 hates it, and I'm like, I need someone to match my freak, because like there are two things that my girlfriend laughs at me a lot that I get really passionate about, and it's breakfast food, specifically eggs, but breakfast food, and seafood, but crab legs. It's like eggs and crab. For some reason, absolute banger dishes most of the time. Give me a good crab leg, and if it doesn't taste fishy, if it does not taste like crab, I don't want it. Like, I don't want that, oh, you can barely tell it's seafood. No, I want to be able to crack this leg, like make it a challenge to pull out the perfect little leg of meat and then have that creamy butter, and it's so good. Like, crab, A plus. And I don't want any part of this like barely tasting like anything seafood. Not worth it.
I've never ever eaten crab. Like, I've no idea. I used to think that I ate crab. You know those little like fucking seafood sticks?
You know, like the fake crab meat thing? Yeah.
I thought those were crab sticks. I thought that was crab. So I would all my life be like, I fucking love crab sticks. I eat them every day. That is not crab. That is apparently just not crab. That's mystery meat. No one actually knows what that's from.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've never eaten crab. I've genuinely never in my life. I have no idea what it tastes like.
I fucking love crab. I remember at Mopey's wedding, he had said something, they had lobster, and he was like, I had lobster for the first time. It was fine. I'm like, you're crazy. Like, crab is better than lobster, but like, shellfish is just sacred to me. Like, I love going to the eggs thing. I love eggs Benedict. And if I see on a menu something has like a scallop Benedict or a crab Benedict or any type of seafood Benedict, it is immediately what I order. No, don't care what time of day it is. It is what I have now. And it's one of the worst traits about me. But my God, seafood just slaps so hard when it's done right.
Oh, you know what's crazy? When we went to Moxie's wedding, I got like coerced by the woman herself who was like shucking the oysters.
Oh my God, no.
To try an oyster. And I was like, I don't know, like I'm not really, it doesn't look great to me. It just looks like it's gonna taste
slime.
like slime, like snot, like fucking nut. Like it doesn't. Yeah. I was like, this just looks like it's not gonna be a pleasant experience. I very much, when it comes to food, believe that like texture is a conductor of flavor, and I was like,
same.
It doesn't look like it's got a lot of flavor. And she was like, no, just try it. It's like, it's fatty, it's buttery. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, but I did it, and I took it, and I just, this is gonna sound weird if someone's got their eyes closed, but yeah, no, I did swallow it, and it tasted, it was not pleasant. I didn't want to throw up, but I did feel like something entered my body that shouldn't have.
I want to make the obvious joke here so bad because it's accurate.
Oh, if someone's
yeah,
listening.
If someone's listening, you can paint the picture of, if you've never had an oyster, what an oyster shooter might be like. Especially if they're
shooters was Coke.
No.
She was like, do you want to do a shooter? I was like, here? Oh at a wedding? Like,
yeah.
It's my first time.
It's a party favor. You just do some cocaine real quick.
But that's what she said. She said it's a party thing. Like, people do them at parties. I was like, holy fuck, this is a wedding. Like, what the fuck?
If you do come to LA, it is frequently offered in that capacity. Oyster shooters less so, but no, shooters are uniquely oyster, and it is one kind of type of seafood I will not fuck with.
Yeah, no, I was very paranoid. I was like, are you offering me? I was like, there is absolutely no way she's offering me drugs. And then she was like, yeah, like rich people do it. I was like, all right. I was like
you're still convincing me this is drugs.
I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, she is talking about the oyster, right?
Yeah.
Because like we're in front of a tray of oysters. So it's got to be the oyster she's referring to.
She pulls out a briefcase while she's talking.
Yeah, I was like trying to inspect her pinky for the longer nail just to see what's about to go down.
It's fun.
I'm even more so now convinced about it. Like, if they do like a Borderlands show podcast, they got to get you to host it.
Oh my God, like, I would love it.
We got to put that out into the universe, right? Like, they're gonna need a new host. Like you got to go on now. You got to show this. Like, yeah, if Gearbox is listening, they come on.
Especially since Feel Force getting a little like, you know, they're dropping some F-bombs in their marketing and stuff like that. I can get buttoned up if I need to, but no, it's fun. It's fun. I got some color to bring in.
The social media boss just having a blast, just sending them or just rattling those F-bombs off.
Literally, that's all I could think of as like a day social media manager is one of my like billion jobs I've had. I'm like, dude, that social media manager is having fucking fun, and I appreciate that.
There's a moment where I was like, is this Randy? I was like, did Randy just, is like, you know what I mean? Like, because I mean, he dropped an F-bomb and then they dropped an F-bomb, and I'm like, either he sent down the command to fire that off, or he just logged into the account and fired it off.
Dude, after they tweeted out the trailer, I responded like in all caps to the Borderlands Twitter. I was like, "Thank you, Daddy," and they were like, "You're welcome." And then some fucking asshole replied, "They were like, this is a weird comment," and I'm like, "You don't know my relationship in Borderlands right now. They are Daddy right now. This is Daddy. There's a reason this has so many likes. Like, let me thank my Gearbox Daddy for this gift. That's fine. If you don't get it, then this isn't for you."
I like it when the Borderlands account sasses people.
Same.
Like I think there was this one time, like, it's a screenshot of the movie, and Claptrap was in it, and the actors, and I think Krieg's mask was there, and it looked so awful. And I quote tweet, I think I quote tweeted or responded. And I was like, "What is that?" And I just like screenshotted the mask. And they responded and they were like, "Sir, that's Claptrap." I was like, "All right, bro." I'm not about to beef with the official Borderlands account on Twitter right now. Don't even start this with me.
It'd be so fun though. No, I love when they're sassy. It's so good. Like, let that personality out.
Oh yeah, it's. I think it's only going to get worse. Could you imagine if Emily Swan's not in Borderlands 4 and they tweet me like, "Hey,
cope."
I'm about to private my Twitter account if she's not in the game.
I appreciate the commitment of you changing your display name to Epic Swan.
Oh, I can't change it back, by the way. I'm cooked. Yeah, they've got a delay now. Thanks, Elon. There's a fucking delay on Twitter now before I can change it back. I'm stuck.
I love it. It's the commitment to the bit is necessary. I think you have to live with that punishment for a bit.
Well, I feel like the theory is so concrete, though. You know?
No,
like,
I mean, truly is.
There's so much. There is just so much to it now that I've embraced it. I'm like, look, I'll fly the flag for this. And if let me tell you, if she's not in the game, then I might have to private my account. Like I might get attacked heavily if she's not in the game, because I'm really pushing it. I'm like, it has to be her.
I feel like it's the same energy of like, I've been so like, Jack isn't into this fucking game, like, let it go. If Jack showed up in the game, I'd have to fall off the face of the earth for a bit, because I've been so vocal of the okay, no, new villain time, let's go. And as much as I love Jack, trust me guys, no. And then if he just showed up, I think I just have to vanish for a bit.
Have you heard the theory that the timekeeper is Handsome Jack?
Oh, I don't have enough liquor for this, but yes, please, I've not heard it. Please explain it to me.
Oh god, no, I haven't gone deeper than that. I've just shut it down. I'm like, all right, guys, I want Jack back too, but what the fuck? Like, there is no chance that's Jack.
I did see the theory that the timekeeper was Roland, and I'm like, guys,
that one is
guys.
That one, they just want Dragon Keep too, where Tina just comes in. She's like, "It's Roland." It's like,
joke.
Right.
We had Wonderlands. We have Dragon Keep too. It's fine. Go.
Yeah,
be free.
There is no way it's Jack or Roland. I mean, I think it truly is just a brand new villain. But
did you see?
I want to know what's in that vault.
Did you see me tweeting that maybe I could fix him?
I did. You got to stop.
I
did see that.
I did
see that.
It is just impulsive and voluntary. I cannot control it.
What are you gonna do if like it just opens with him killing people en masse? Like he just murders civilians? Are you still gonna?
I think I then make a fan cam.
You're not gonna fan cam the timekeeper.
I might fan cam the timekeeper murdering people. I might do it. Listen, I cosplay Handsome Jack. I don't know if you knew this about me, but I like bad guys. Jack is kind of an asshole and kills people, and I do think he deserves rights and a fan cam. So maybe Timekeeper will earn that too.
Handsome Jack did nothing wrong. I'm so tired of people attacking Handsome Jack. Like, when are people going to understand that Lilith deserves death more than Handsome Jack
okay,
does? Like,
yes, okay.
She's such a bitch. Fuck Lilith.
Fuck
I
Lilith.
hate that character.
No. Okay, so here's my whole thing with, and since you're a TPS truther, I'm wondering how you vibe with this. I'm very much of the camp that Jack being abused, like, it's a cycle of abuse here. Like, what he's doing to Angel, he doesn't see as abuse, even though we know objectively it is. We have the logs and TPS of, him talking about her sneaking down to open her Christmas presents early and things like that. Like, this girl was not just, like, chained to a rock to get high on drugs and, like, beat his fault, right? We get in 3, all of the, like, urgent taking doctor thing. So I think he does care at that point. We see in TPS when he goes to kill Zarpedon, and she says like she says a warning to him, and she can't get it out before he kills her. And I think he's warning her about him dying in that, because he gets cut off in that vision when Lilith breaks the relic and punches that. And I'm like, BL2 for me has always been a thing about Jack and Roland. They always knew it was going to come down to them in the end. Lilith was an afterthought for him of that. But like, if Lilith hadn't have broken that, he would have seen this. There would have been so much, like, I think Lilith truly is the reason that all this happened. I really blame Moxie more than anything of betraying him, because it was like, he says, the last person he trusted. And it truly was this like deep cut, because when Zarpedon is going to like nuke Elpis, and he's like, there are like so many innocent people on that moon. And she's like, yes, there are. And he's like, okay, this shit crazy. We got to kill her. Like, he's actively trying at that point to be the hero. And Tails does a good job of being like, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and the ones you love lay litter on the roadside, and having that complex, but it's still not specifically Jack. And I just always go back to TPS. I'm like, this man did not just like grow up being like, aha, I'm a siren, I'm evil, I'm a dictator, I'm like doing all this. I think he was truly trying to be like, I don't want this to happen. I want to have a safe spot, and got so down the rabbit hole, carried a crazy person about it. And if Lilith hadn't broken that relic, then none of this would have fucking happened.
Well, it's interesting because I can't recall. I forgot what I was going to say. I think I was going to say, like, did Zarpedon know? Like, why was she destroying the moon? Because we know that the reason the moon was to be destroyed was to prevent Pandora opening, which is why the Watcher would have protected her. But did she mention why she was destroying Elpis?
I'm literally looking something down to see what I want.
Because I know she said like she'll save lives by doing it, but because this is what's interesting is she definitely saw what's inside the vault, and she actually says this in the story. And I had theorized that the Watcher didn't stop Jack killing her because it thought she was too far gone. However, like, she must have seen before that what was in the vault. She must have seen what Jack saw at the end of the game to know what she had to do. Like, my theory is that inside the vault of the Sentinel, both, or like, you know, Zarpedon and Jack, or anyone who sees inside it, sees their own fate, sees their own reality. Because it's weird that Zarpedon was so adamant about destroying the moon, and Jack was so adamant about getting the warrior. There's like very two similar parallels there. And they both saw the vault. So that's the two similarities we can draw there.
Well, I also think it goes to your Emily Swan theory a little bit too, with the Guardian protecting Athena here as like an asset for what's about to happen. Why didn't she do that with Zarpedon? Because like if Zarpedon's whole thing was to prevent the bad future from what we see in this vault, where these million people die, she's trying to warn Jack of this, whether that's a chain reaction caused by Jack then having the technology to open vaults and take over everything, or if this is anything else in the big war we're talking about that's unrelated with Jack dead at that point. Why wasn't Zarpedon protected then from the Guardian if Zarpedon was trying to do good with that?
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think we know at what point does she see inside the vault. She says she saw inside it, but we don't know when. But it definitely feels like something changed, because at the start of the game, again, what's interesting that I pointed out in one of my videos on the Watcher is that the Watcher so far, to our knowledge, doesn't always intervene, rather it just protects. Like, it protected Zarpedon, it watched over Nereid, it protected Emily, it kept Lilith invisible from the Guardians, it didn't hurt anyone on Sanctuary, it just saved Athena. So it's got this weird, it's almost like a peacemaker in a way. And it saved Zarpedon at the start of the pre-sequel, but then it just doesn't the next time, which is just weird. It's just super weird, right? And it's just like, why? Why did you let her die? Like, so when did she see it? Because that's when I think it changed, is she saw inside the vault. Because and the reason I draw this comparison is because Jack was still, to the player, very much the good guy in pre-sequel before Lilith, you know, gave him the tat. But what was the deal with Zarpedon? Because she didn't get branded, so why? Like, I think K6 mentioned to me what was up with the purple stuff coming out of her eyes. It's interesting. Like, when did that happen? Like, what happened to her in the vault, and why didn't the Watcher want to save her?
Well, if we're going with the purple stuff, that again goes to the Emily Swan of the light that you were talking about, and the echo logs there that like fix her now. There was this obviously like Iridian influence, whatever we're looking at. Like, if that's what we're looking at with the new Siren in BL4 and her tattoos and the injections, if there's something to that, it would make sense that if Zarpedon was helping the Guardian, to try to, like, I think the quote is like, I would kill thousands to save millions or something like that. If she's doing this to stop whatever chain reaction is going to happen in the vault, and enough that in her dying moments, knowing she's about to be shot, still tries to warn Jack of what's going to happen if he goes in there and that the vault's open. Maybe the Guardian just knew this fight to the death was like, okay, next best thing, let's go to Athena. And it was one of those, like, trying to help, and then the Guardian's true mission obviously can't just be, I'm going to save Zarpedon, because Zarpedon wasn't the chosen one for that. It was just a person helping the Guardian at that point. And so whatever chain reaction that started, I think there was so much set up in TPS that my like stance as the lore truther kind of thing, it breaks my heart we never got like a Fall of New Haven DLC or something from that, because I feel like there's so much just grounded in like fleshing out that gap between, we didn't really have a plot in 1, we forgot about a plot basically until halfway through the game, and then didn't flesh us out, and then 2 was rushed in these ways, but then TPS was there to really make this, I think, a full world. And I'm so hoping you're right and we do get those tie-ins in 4, because I want TPS to feel like a mainline game, because it is, and the fact we don't include it like that kills me. But I think the richest lore of Jack, Pandora, the Raiders, all of this is in there, and we just have only seen little tiny moments of it, like one-off lines from Lilith and Roland, or things like the purple coming out of Zarpedon's eyes that could make so much sense with the proper focus in a Borderlands game.
Well, it's very interesting because the Sentinel was known as the Guardian of the Vault, and the Sentinel, when you first see it, is glowing purple, and when you go into the vault, you get that animation of it like leaking this purple stuff out that Zarpedon had present. Which is weird. It's like all of this weird stuff, and they had something with the color purple in the pre-sequel. It's in Elisir a lot as well. It's very purple, which I don't know if it's significant or it's just an interesting detail and art direction there. But what's interesting is like you might have actually like snapped there, because you mentioned like Zarpedon isn't saved the next time. Jack isn't saved either though, but Athena is. And chronologically speaking, if we assume that the Emily Swan echoes take place before the events of the pre-sequel taking place, that would mean that chronologically Athena was the next person to be protected by the Watcher, aside from Lilith, who was just allowed to get into the vault. But so Lilith was allowed into the vault, and then Athena was protected from being killed by the Raiders. But like, it's interesting, like you said, like Jack wasn't protected. Zarpedon wasn't protected the second time, so maybe the Watcher was just like, look, whoever it is, whoever wants to try and help and stop what's coming, like, yeah, I will help you. But again, the one thing I can't connect the dots on is why Zarpedon was left to die the second time.
Yeah.
And the purple stuff on her, it was on her hands, it was leaking out of her eyes, and it really makes me wonder what was going to happen there. Like, I don't... The one thing that I did find interesting is that the staff that she wields in her boss fight is very, very similar to the one wielded by the Sentinel.
It is, yeah.
So it's a little... I'm just like, what happened to you in the vault? How did you even get out of there? She said she saw what was in it, so she must have gone in. But she's not dead, and neither was the Sentinel. So what happened to her? She just left?
It's honestly
so weird.
It's honestly weird, especially because like the piece of her that always sticks with me is the a few come sniffing, more will follow mentality she has about it. And it's very much the vibe of the secrets in here. I'm gonna go on a D&D rant for a second. Do you know D&D lore at all? Like the actual like just...
Oh no, I'm cooked.
Okay.
I'm absolutely cooked.
Okay. No worries. There is an event, Karsus' Folly, where there was, magic, arcane magic in the world, basically. This is such bastardization of it. But Karsus was an avatar of a god, tried to take over, basically, and take that power of a god and use this arcane magic like that. Mistra, the goddess of magic, was like, fuck that. Cut off magic, turned it off and on again, and then rebooted it. And that's why, like, canonically, like, spells are capped at like level 9 and gods of different things. Like, people just don't have access to the same magic anymore because they couldn't be trusted with it, and these secrets need to die is like one of the like explanations for stuff like that. Again, super bastardization of it, whatever. But that vibe of something like if the secrets of this vault getting out is going to like destroy millions of people, it's going to doom Jack, it's going to doom the universe, all of this, the war is going to start, like this ripple effect, whatever she saw in there, like her mission to be like, if you come sniffing, more will follow, that kill thousands to save millions. This has to die to protect these secrets. Like, what other secrets are in there? What didn't we see? Because if this is something that she saw, like it was like purple rashes all over the team's body to go for the vapors. They define the Watcher. They go to the vault, and then like whatever happened had to be like, no human can have this information. And it just reminds me of that kind of like, we're turning this off and on again and people can't have this. So then what happens when we do? And that makes me think there has to be something to like the yellow vault symbol and all the like golden like archetypes we're seeing in BL4 with Timekeeper and stuff, that this is something that like we weren't supposed to have. And maybe that was Iridium in the first place. Maybe that was the version of it. Like there's so much that it rabbit hole could go, but like it has to be that the knowledge in there is just something that literally the Iridians, the Watcher, whatever, need people to not have. And that's backed up, I think, by Nereid killing herself and sealing herself in that vault. And the, you know, make sure they never find the seventh. Whatever this is something that's clearly we've debunked multiverse. But like, what is so earth altering at this point that this new planet is hidden away and we have all this? And what is the connecting through that here for everything in 3 to happen and still be relevant? Because we're not just skipping, obviously, the lore of 3, but then what weren't we hiding in that, you know? That's a tangent, but I'm just like, there's something there.
Yeah, I think you're right about like trying to hide stuff from the world as well, because like especially in pre-sequel, what's interesting is that Zarpedon left the vault seemingly untouched. She was fine. Like she's got all that purple shit on her, but she's not dead. She's not dying. She's like, when you fight her in pre-sequel, she fucking mollywops you. Like she's insane. And what's interesting about Zarpedon in the pre-sequel, which I haven't seen people bring up, is that when you fight her out of the mech suit, she fights like a Guardian. Like,
yeah.
The moveset she has is like basically one-to-one Guardian animations. She uses the staff that the Sentinel does. And what's interesting is that later on they would add her drops to the Sentinel because she wasn't like farmable properly. So they went on to add Zarpedon's drops to the Sentinel, which I'm sure isn't very significant, but it's just weird that she fights like the Sentinel. She's got the Sentinel staff, she's got the purple stuff on her, and they would later give her drops to the Sentinel. And I think that's kind of like an indirect clue to why the Watcher was defending her. I don't think she wanted what was in the vault. I think she was defending it. I think her goal was to blow up the moon. But in doing so, obviously, she saw what was in the vault and was like, back out, get out of here.
Yeah,
Like,
you just have to nuke it at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Like, whatever's in here can't be found. And I think it's crazy that, like, Jack got the knowledge of what was in the vault. And look what his knowledge told him. It literally told him, go to Pandora, open this vault, grab this siren, get the warrior, and you've got the keys to the earth, basically. Like, the warrior is yours at that point. And it's wild, because it's like, if that's what it told Jack, what would it have told Lilith if she sat there? What would it have told, like, imagine if it was Zarpedon, like, and she had that vault symbol imprinted. It's weird that it almost seems like the TPS vault's intention was knowledge. Yeah. And I wonder if there's a pattern there, if different vaults have different intentions, because if that's the case, like you said, the vault is yellow in Borderlands 4. What does that symbolize?
Well, I also think there's something to it because it's one of those things where like, I don't know where I learned this. And I've said it so much that I'm like convinced it's real lore. And then it was, the book came out, Dead or Alive came out. And I was like reading the beginning of it. I was like, holy shit, wait, this wasn't something that I'd ever found anywhere. And I've been saying this like this was fact for years. Did this just get established in this book, or is this some like one-off line from something? But my whole thing was at the end of the original tales, when they go into the vault, we've been like, what do we see? And I got so pissed at 3 for like Reese and just being Jack and this, like, whatever. My Reese Strongford rant is a completely different rant. But I was like, no, I knew for a fact he went in the vault and he saw what he needed to do to stay on top, be successful, and do all that. And then my rabbit hole theory of New Tales was that the vaults that were just conveniently there under Franz's favorite froyo shop and this other thing and the weird Iridian text that translated to like Google Translate kind of like advertisement stuff were fake vaults he built because he didn't know how to keep staying on top after that. But like it gave him the keys to relaunch Atlas and told him what to do. Go take this steed. Go do this. This is how you build it. This is like, you need this vault. And he had this map, but he's bad at executing it. And so much of that is like Reese's first introduction is he wanted to be just like Handsome Jack. But for whatever reason, for years, I've been like, no, we know what he saw in the vault. It was like what he wanted to see. It was like, how do I do this? And that really does back up, like, if they all sat there and saw their own future of something like that. It's this information. It's this things that would make you kind of go crazy if you saw it, because mortal eyes aren't supposed to see it. Like, there's a reason Iridians have kept so much of this locked, and why the balance of science in the universe is important. And so if it is something like information and something that, you know, if Lilith had seen it, Roland's seen it, if Jack had stayed there the whole time and seen it, without it getting broken, would he have seen Angel dying? Would he have seen a way around that? Would he have, like, what order of events were here? And the thing that really, this is slightly rabbit hole-y, and by slightly I mean completely, but I really theorize that Angel is the reason that the Raiders didn't die with the attack on Wilhelm during New Haven. I feel like Angel helped them fake Lilith's death to get out. And I think Jack knows that later, but that's why he knows Lilith isn't dead. And it's so much in there of, like, if he had captured her, then would they have been able to open the vault? Was Angel holding back on being able to channel this iridium and use that power, and so she was intentionally charging the key slowly? Or was she just incapable of doing this because at the time they were writing this, it was like, oh, not every siren can do it, and now sirens can just pop it like candy, right? And so there's so much to, I think, the retconning of how much we do know about vaults and being able to go and be like, oh, it's loot. But we never get to really go into it in 1 and 2 in the same way. Like, we don't go through the vault in that way. We just get loot explosion at the moonshot. And so there's clearly information that I think, like, it's that canon that we're just leaving this stuff on the table. That, like, the Vault Hunter didn't go in through the vault, so we don't actually see what's in the Vault of the Warrior. So we don't know what we're missing. So we're missing all of these clues that are leading to this catastrophic event that could have been picked up on this whole time.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, especially what's weird is the Borderlands 3 vaults, it feels like they almost don't serve a purpose to me, unless I'm missing something. Like, Typhon de Leon went into the Vault of the Serpent, but what came out of that? Like, I genuinely don't know. Like, the BL3 vault seems so insignificant in the grand scheme of vaults. Like you said, like the Vault of the Traveler. Pre-sequel, I think, by far has the most significant vault in the franchise.
Yeah.
Like, what the pre-sequel vault led to and the chain of events it kicked off could have ended the world. Which is wild to think about. Like, again, it drives me insane that Borderlands fans keep ignoring the pre-sequel and thinking Gearbox aren't aware of it, when pre-sequel has some of the most significant events in the franchise.
It
like,
does.
Everything you know, like Roland dying, like, that doesn't happen without the pre-sequel's ending.
No,
like,
pre-sequel.
That was crazy.
Pre-sequel just is slept on for so many reasons. It has the most diverse skill trees. If it had been able to get a full cycle, if 2K Australia didn't shut down, like, I think so many more people would be playing it and loving it. Claptastic was fantastic. No rhyming intended there. But, like, it truly, I think, like I've said it before, that I feel like you make Borderlands 2, you don't realize how much of a hit it's going to be. You're like, oh shit, we got rid of Jack too soon. Let's flesh this out. And it's the same reason that, like, Birch talks about he regrets killing Nisha in BL2 after fleshing her out in TPS. And there's so much that I think got established so early on there that we've just never really revisited. And Borderlands isn't the type of game that's like, hey, here's your vegetables for your lore. Let's sit here and talk story. Like, people are complaining that you have to, like, I'll say the twins had more depth than people give them credit for, and I'll list echoes, and people go, well, I don't listen to echoes. I just, like, run around and shoot things. I'm like, well, then that's on you. Like, if you want more lore, it's there. Like, Borderlands is hard to have a vehicle of, like, this is the story from A to B to C of all of this, but, like, the groundwork is there. Like, this isn't a crazy theory you have. Like, I was like, okay, like, this sounds like a, you know, a tinfoil hat one I would have on for something. And then I listened to your Emily Swan theory. I was like, you know, I don't know if I believe it, but yeah, you 100% sold me on it, that is a possibility, because of course this is something that they could go back to and pay attention, and it would so seamlessly tie stuff together, but then give a lot of implications about the fact that are sirens chosen? Because we now have Lilith, like, where did her powers go when she got it? Like, whatever, they're stolen. Is that a thing that can happen with people other than just Tyrene? Can you graft them? But then with sirens being able to choose who they go to, like we see with Angel and Tannis, it's just there's so much siren lore that hasn't been fleshed out that I feel like they probably just have binders and binders and binders on inside Gearbox, and I'm like, give it to us. Like, that's all I want.
It's there's a lot there. Like, the thing is with pre-sequel, I think it's an inlet and it's an outlet. It not only took in a bunch of lore from the franchise and fleshed it out, but it also did so much with it. Like, they turned the Destroyer's eye into a whole thing to give us context of how powerful the Destroyer is. And they introduced characters who became major plot lines in Borderlands, like Aurelia. They brought in as not Handsome Jack, Hammerlock's sister, and they did Timothy as well. And now look what Timothy's doing. Like, Timothy could be handsome. Like, I mean, technically he is Handsome Jack. I mean, you could argue he's got Jack's DNA in him, so he's a doppelganger that looks like Jack. He sounds like Jack. He has Jack's DNA. I mean, technically he is Jack. So, and this all stems from the pre-sequel. And again, the Vault, which kicks off the events of so much, and Emily Swan, which is, I get that people think it's insignificant for BO4, which is fine, but there's significance to her interaction with the Watcher, even if she doesn't show up now. Because how the Watcher interact with her is just weird. Like, the Watcher has done... the Watcher is such a mysterious character, because you don't actually know... I mean... I've said that we know its motive now is to protect the opening of the Pandora Vault, but we're going into Borderlands 4 now, and I think it's safe to say there's a tonal change here, and a lore change in the direction they're going. So if they do have the Watcher in Borderlands 4, how does it, I mean, the Destroyer stuff's old news, right? Like, but why is the Watcher going to be there now? Because again, Zarpedon moves like a Guardian, fights like a Guardian, has the Sentinels thing, has, purple goo leaking out of her eye. Lilith said that the Guardians ignored her when she tried to go to the Vault to stop Jack. And she also mentioned that the Watcher said something to her at the end of Borderlands the pre-sequel about the war. But what's interesting that people don't know is that everyone else there couldn't hear it. The Watcher spoke directly to her, which is even... And that's why I mentioned the whole Emily Swan being the seventh siren thing, because I was like, do we have an instance of where the Watcher... Like, we know that only one person could hear the Watcher, because it's weird that the Siren could hear the Watcher, but no one else could. Because that was odd to me. I was like, wait, how did only Lilith hear what the Watcher said at the end of the pre-sequel? And,
well, especially with, like, the bit you brought up with, like, Nereid's echo, where she's talking about the Guardian just, like, stood and watched. And that was it when she was destroying and killing all the Iridians. Like...
Yeah, another Siren.
Yeah. Like... we can only have the, like, all the sirens are drawn together in Pandora so many times. But there is an undeniable thing that every significant sighting we've had of the Watcher has been significant and around sirens, which makes sense with the Iridian aspect of it. But, like, the motive for whatever the Watcher is protecting from and for warning, we don't know. Like, the Watcher could be bad. We don't know. Like, maybe the Iridians are the bad guys. Maybe they are trying to keep the balance of a universe. And, the corporations are you fucking that, which would be very true to Borderlands, allegories here. But you're right that there's something very specific about the way that we know it's telekinetic. Maybe it's telepathic and choosing who to talk to, or it can only talk to some people. Like, we truly know nothing. The title card has a couple question marks on it,
Well, it's particularly interesting when we think about the possibility of who can hear it, is that Annie Swan could hear it. Because she says in her echo that the Watcher told her to leave the moon and that your daughter's going to live. So it's like, okay, is it, telepathic on who it talks to, or can it only talk to sirens? Because if that's the case, what if Annie Swan was a siren? But that doesn't really make too much sense, because, again, the inclusion of her daughter Emily seems like the focus of those echoes, not her. She just seems like the mouthpiece there. So... It's weird.
Up until you pointed out in your video that Tyreen would have been born and had her powers at this point in the TPS, because she does get them directly from the vault. What got me curious that I hadn't considered before is in those echo logs, it talks about how no matter what, she's just malnourished, like she's just starving, she's just dying. And that's where I yell a lot about Troy and Tyreen, where people have I get the versions of them, but when we look at just like the lore of them in general, it's so poignant to me that Troy has spent his whole life just needing to be fed like this. Like he had these shitty bots taking care of him, and he was always dying, and neither him nor Tyreen ever had a full meal in their life. all this life force that they're doing and sharing. It's like Tyrene is having to siphon half of herself to keep her brother alive, and he is having to like keep these scraps, which is why it is interesting when he does get Maya's powers and immediately goes too hard. And I relate to that as a physically, like, chronically ill person. You get steroid injections and you overdo the fuck out of it the first day because you feel like, oh my god, I'm Superman, I can like walk upstairs and do things, and you're suddenly like jumping and doing whatever, and then the next day you're fucking flatlined. Like, that really painted a picture for me where I was like, there is something that's like neither of them are ever full and healed at that point. And that's so much of where that comes from. And that was a line with that triggered that bell. I'm like, is this something with sirens who aren't, you know, like there's some power because the way there came from Neri, maybe theirs was like an ancient version of it, or if getting this power is what's allowing her to be saved, and it's like kind of like chemotherapy for whatever she had, and now they gave her siren powers, or that was passed on to her. The Watcher knew she would be inheriting someone's powers. Like, there's so many different things there that make me think that there could be a similar type of leech vibe that we do see with Troy and Tyrene, and the fact that we were able to have both of them coexist at once. But then there's also the fact that we have the echoes of Jack and 3 rushing Angel to the hospital when he notices her tattoos and has the powers. And we hear then that, like, yes, these are tattoos and we could put together what it is. But in the logs with Annie, she's talking about how sick her daughter is, but she never mentions tattoos. But it could be a similar reaction to just, why is the first thought? Because that was always confusing to me with Jack. It's like, oh, siren tattoos, you're panicking. Why do you take her to a doctor? You know those are siren tattoos. You know what I mean? And so,
it's like,
yeah.
You know, like, what, your daughter's malnourished, but why is she already in Nurse Nina's care? It's like, you've taken her to Nurse Nina. And what's interesting is that chronologically in Borderlands by this point, unless I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but at this point, sirens are still a new thing. We've got Lilith in Borderlands 1, but she makes it clear that her siren powers, like, go crazy when the vault is opened in 2, and she starts, like, she's feeding off of Iridium, right?
Yeah.
Like that, she's, like, feeding off of it. And she gets, like, tapped down. She gets exhausted without it. Like, she needs it to keep her powers up. And I'm just wondering, I'm like, you know, and at this point, I'm looking very deep into stuff, which I probably shouldn't, but it is interesting to think of, you know, the malnourished statement is like, there wasn't at this point, you know, Iridium was still kind of like a new thing, or maybe it wasn't even established around the time with those echoes. So it's like, was she just a dying siren? Like, is this how this stuff can transfer around the universe? Like, do certain sirens need certain things? And was Emily's just Iridium? Like, the purple glow emitting that healed her is similar to what you'd see with Lilith when she consumes it. So it's it's interesting, right? It's like, she's malnourished. She didn't mention that she's got, like, a disease and she's dying. She literally just says she's skin and bones. And I'm thinking, like, was she just too young to like, hold on to the powers? Like, where? And also it's interesting because it's like, if she's a siren, then what is Annie? How did her daughter get those powers? It's just, there's so many weird questions there. And again, it's odd that the comic mentions her, and the
comic is damning.
Mentions her by name.
Yeah,
it's weird, right? Like,
it's such a deep cut side mission in a game that people forget about anyway. Like, that's not just something random you pull out for context. Like, you make up something new or you do something, like having that specifically in there in the comics that are now being released in build up for 4. Because I remember at least the Amara comic was being talked about at 2021 San Diego Comic-Con. And that was like there. Like, it only just now got released. Like, this has been in development for a long time, like this series. And whatever reason, they either held it to be, let's go before BL4 and have this build up, or maybe they were like, knew they were going to be bought out by 2K, and, you know, there just had to be holds. But like, if it would line up with, hey, let's build hype around 4 and let's bring up some of the stuff that is canon, especially when they made the effort to decanonize the original books and comics. I feel like it's just such a random thing to pull out if it's not actually something. Like, maybe it's not a playable siren, but like, clearly this is a relevant plot point, and this glowing purple light isn't just a weird thing that's happening, especially because Randy also pointed out on Twitter that the vault and everything is yellow in this. Like, it was a significant change. So it's not just, oh, well, everything's purple in Borderlands. Like, the fact that this isn't purple glow is important.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and there's so much foreshadowing. And I already pointed out, like, I made a crazy theory. I was like, and this could all be coincidence, but it's weird. Like, The IMAX poster for the Borderlands movie showed Elpis behind the vault, or a moon behind the vault. At the end of the Borderlands 4 trailer, Elpis is behind a vault, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, is this purposeful foreshadowing? Like, what are they dropping subtle hints here? Like, it to me, it feels almost out of character for Gearbox to do stuff like that, to my own served memory. But I wouldn't put it past them. Like I said, like Sam Winkler is just fucking wizard. Like, he knows the lore. And
Yeah.
I keep telling people who say they forgot pre-sequel, I'm like, dude, Scourge mentions the Watcher by name. Dunk Watson flies by Sanctuary. Timothy Lawrence shows up. Aurelia show like the pre-sequel has not been retconned by Gearbox, and the sooner people understand that, the better. Like, they very much understand it. And again, like you mentioned, pulling a random side mission, but like the Emily Swan stuff isn't even a side mission; it's a badass rank challenge, so it's even less significant. So to put that in the comic is mighty weird. And again, once again, it's even weirder that Emily is the only character who has interacted with the Watcher to our knowledge, who we have like no info on. And significant or not significant, it's fucking creepy. The Zane anagram is just weird. Like, that's weird. Yeah. That you've just got like Zarpedon, you've got Athena, you've got Nereid, and then Emily. That's just weird. That's just got to be a universe coincidence. But that vault at the end of the Borderlands 4 trailer has to be significant, and I like, vaults are a prison, and they're purple, and I think that signifies what they're holding. And I think whatever's in this prison is going to be even more significant to signify the color change. And because the bad guy is the timekeeper, I truly think whatever's in that vault will change time. And the only thing in my mind that makes sense that could change time is the Seventh Siren, because Nereid warns us not to find it, but doesn't tell us why. We have no reason why finding the seventh is truly, truly bad, like what it would actually do. Like, we know that freeing the Destroyer would be bad because it would consume the entire galaxy, basically, with how huge it is. And they make that very clear, but they don't say about the seventh Siren, at least to my knowledge, why freeing it would be such a bad idea. And again, Elpis is phase shifted to the most hidden, like Kairos has got to be the most mysterious thing we've seen in Borderlands yet. It's a completely hidden planet, tucked away behind a literal mid-galaxy cloaking device. And somehow Lilith took Elpis there. And that's got to be significant. That just has to be significant.
I feel like also the fact that they put the Seer into Borderlands 3 too is significant too, with like the Watcher, because now we have the Seer coming and basically warning and talking about the Siren lore. Because if I'm remembering correctly with Nereid, like the lore we do get is that the Sirens lived side by side, like next to, I forget the wording, with Iridians, but neither the Sirens nor Iridians knew where Sirens came from. They just knew what they are. And I think that's a significant thing that we don't talk about a lot, because we do associate so much with, the Iridians and Sirens and this lore and the straw to Pandora, which is pretty much the only thing we consistently know about them. But if I recall correctly, the Seer is like saying Sirens don't like cause and effect, basically. And like, they are in the way of what the Seer is trying to do. And it's always trying to correct everything because of this. And so I think the word was like chaos incarnate. And that's really what we see with Lilith and Elpis, and this catastrophic phase walking the moon, that course that whatever everyone had been trying to course correct. No one saw that coming based on the war, the warning of the war. And I think when people were like, oh, we didn't have the war, like we see Pandora literally cracking in BL3. Like, I'm very much like, this was the war happening at this point. Everyone we know has come together. The world below us is actually physically cracking. But I think Lilith just hijacked that by doing something that she wasn't supposed to do on the timeline they were on, and phase walking Elpis and to save Pandora. And that catastrophic, what we see now, this crashing through everything and literally tearing a hole in whatever hidden thing we're doing. I think we're just really ignoring DLC 6 with that, because are we trying to now eradicate Sirens? Are Sirens now the problem? Because that could be what was in the vault there too, and that could lead to something that, what Zarpedon was doing, or if the Watcher saved Emily, or maybe Emily's a Siren Hunter or something like that. Because the Seer is just such an overlooked thing, I think, in Borderlands 3 that goes hand in hand with the Watcher, that there's just, I don't know, I just want more there. I need to replay DLC 6 because it's been so long. But I definitely think Lilith is going to be treated like an enemy in this whenever we do find her.
Yeah, it's like the thing is so crazy, and I can't tell if Gearbox are backed into a corner or if the players just don't know where they are, because the seer mentions like the course being shattered, and like the course of events that was supposed to stay on track didn't happen, and Lilith has basically screwed everything up. But it's just, to me, it's just weird. 'Cause I'm like, what? So let me get this straight. So stopping the Great Vault from opening is a problem according to the Guardians. But why? Like, you got the Watcher who was trying to stop the vault from opening, but apparently Lilith has messed everything up by preventing its opening. So it's like, what did you want to happen? The Destroyer to come out? Like, maybe the Destroyer wasn't going to come out? Have we done something that we don't know? Because I think there's something else that hints at it. Doesn't Scourge in the Guardian Takedown also say that the Vault Hunters are the problem?
I think so, yeah. That sounds familiar.
There's like some kind of line about... I'll try and look it up, but...
Eruption Fang, correct us. Please.
Yeah, Eruption Fang needs to help us out here.
Daddy Fang, please.
Yeah, because it's just like... I mean, again, it's like, are they making it up as they go? Or like, are the players just truly just not clued into what's going on? Because it's like, all we've heard is how bad the Destroyer is, but now we're being like gaslit. We're like, oh,
literally,
good job, you stopped the Destroyer coming out. I'm like, what does that mean? Is that like, maybe is the end goal a great reset? Is the Destroyer supposed to reset the universe? Like, why did Lilith mess it up? Like, that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like so much of it is them. Part of the reason I believe in any of these rabbit holes is that the stuff that was said casually, either in BL1 or in writings or in early BL2, that has been since retconned or adjusted, like when Lilith got her powers and things like that, makes me think they are setting up for something. Because why bother retconning if she's had it since birth or when she was 5 or 20 or whatever, Like, why does that matter at that point? And it's where I yell a lot about Maya, but I'm like, you guys don't actually care about Maya. You just think she saw it. Because she has so much interesting little tidbits into that from her echoes that no one really follows up on. But I'm obsessed with those echoes in Wildlife where Angel's playing him for Jack, and Jack's voice just like goes so dark. He's like, Angel, find her. Like, it is so unlike anyone else's, and he doesn't care about her at first when she's like, okay, I found a siren, but she like doesn't seem to be able to interact with Iridium. But then he listens to her killing all those people in that echo, and it is a completely different situation. And then it's weird because then as a playable character, he doesn't give a fuck about you when he's face to face with you, when you're Maya. And there's just something there that I feel like just got left on the cutting room that I'm like, what was the intention with sirens here? Because I don't think Jack is just like playing Pokemon with sirens at this point. Like, Lilith was a very specific thing from the vault, and also then Angel was dead and he started crashing out. Like, all of Jack's decisions, like what led to his death was him acting impulsively after that and that grief. And so at what point of this is like, if Lilith broke everything by face walking the moon and she broke everything by punching Jack in the face with the relic and all this stuff, like, maybe they're right. Maybe sirens are the problem. But then Ava says that the seer did tell her that she would find Lilith. So it's just, are we wanting us to find Lilith and then killing all of us? Are Vault Hunters the problem? Is the whole species of sirens and then people the problem? Do we just need to turn everything off and on again? Or are we gonna end up fighting Lilith, or are we gonna end up fighting the seer? You know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting as well because like another pawn gets introduced to the game when you talk about Scourge the Invincible. Because Scourge the Invincible is particularly interesting. In my opinion, he's more interesting than the Seer. Because during the boss fight, he'll say stuff like, I've done what the Watcher could not, which is like, what does that mean? Like what is that supposed to mean? He'll say the Overseer was wrong about you. He'll say, do you feel what's to come? And it's just like all of these weird foreboding warnings. But what's interesting is when he dies, he'll like go through a portal in the ground. And I don't think Scourge is dead. Because there's like a Nereid log that says when Guardians die, they just transfer to another vessel. And I'm like, what's like to me it's weird. I'm like, okay, are they gonna forget about the Guardians in Borderlands 4? Or is there something big coming? Because where's the Watcher? The Seer was talking crazy. Scourge is seemingly, if we go by what Nereid said, transferring to another vessel. and talking about what the Watcher could not. Like, I don't know what that could mean. Like, I've done what the Watcher could not. Like that's weird to me. And then again, them implying that Lilith messed up. I'm like the seer told Ava that it like was the seer's warning to go and get Lilith and fix it. Is Elpis supposed to come back? Or maybe it's a case of like, you know what would be truly crazy is if it was a red herring this whole time and Elpis can't open Pandora. It's actually going to destroy Pandora permanently, taking the Watcher out. That
Oh,
would
that
be
would be sick.
not the
That would
Watcher,
be
the Destroyer.
that would be
But
really interesting.
yeah, I mean, to me that doesn't make sense. But like, I mean, at this point, I don't feel like half of the stuff they're doing, quote, makes sense in a typical realm, but in Borderlands it makes sense.
In Borderlands, it makes sense where we get the pieces of everything, and also you just kind of it's like watching X-Men. Sometimes you just gotta accept things are weird, things like change. But I think, I would just be shocked if we don't see things like the Watcher or Iridians in this, because the signal that this isn't like here's another corporate war or here's a bandit war. Like, yeah, we have bandit war in here, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not a Calypso style Pandora kind of thing, and we're not just like vault to vault to vault chasing. Like, it seems like there is a grounded, intentional, darker story here that is a plot to follow and not just point A to point B to point C to loot out, which is weird if we are looking at like this being a more open world game as being implied by Randy and everyone this week. That how does that work? Is this something like Far Cry where you can do it in any order and it plays out, or is this or like Control and it somehow like magically like goes in the right order of what you need to see no matter how you play the game? Or do we unlock areas as we go and it's more, Cyberpunk, you have this natural progression of stuff if we do have something that open world, and then that being so against how we normally play Borderlands. Like, cool, we have the side mission, cool, we have this vault, we need to go grind, we need to go loot. Like, I want to know what the intention is in there, because there's so much is already so different from the previous games. And I think if they land it right, it's going to just be a knockout of the park, because the elevation of things like the map loading or double jumps or, any of the little things we've talked about, if those work well and it's still farmable, it's still that looter shooter, and we get this darker, like lore connected story, I'm gonna go feral, like absolutely feral.
Yeah, it's so there's so much drawing in, especially about this game. This to me feels like a different Borderlands than we've ever seen before. Like the opening of that trailer, when I first saw the first frame, I was like, "Ooh, this feels different. Like there's something feels off here. Like this feels."
The shot of putting the psycho mask on and it powering him up, I got goosebumps. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, this doesn't feel like Borderlands, and not in an insulting way. It just felt like this. It feels serious. It's like, okay, if BO3 wasn't the war, this has to be, because something feels off here. Like this is a large scale event that's happening, and again, Elpis crashing into this planet is significant, and they're not talking about it, and I think it's for a reason. I mean, they of course are acknowledging it's happened, but I think there's more details to come there on why Elpis is here. Because, again, it's just odd. We haven't seen Elpis since pre-sequel. I mean, I think we saw it in New Tales, right? Like loosely.
I think so, yeah.
In terms of actually playing there and being there in a mainline game, we haven't seen it since the pre-sequel. And I want to know what's going on up there now, because for it to just be chilling in the sky like that, I don't think it's staying there.
No, that moon's crashing down or something.
Yeah, something's going to come down or something's going to happen there. And again, I do think, and maybe it's just a crackhead theory, but I do think that the vault in front of Elpis at the end of that trailer is significant too. And that's kind of foreshadowing something we just don't understand yet. Especially the color of that vault, and it's just, I mean, I think we're going to Elpis. I think that Famitsu article maybe confirmed that now that we're going to Elpis, we're going to explore Elpis, and yeah, I mean, Elpis at this point, I have no idea what could be on there, because it being split up like that reminds me of the concept art for a pre-sequel DLC where they had like a cracked asteroid raid boss where you'd hop between different parts of the asteroid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Elpis being split up like that, I'm like, oh, they might be doing something here. I don't even know if the final boss is going to be on Kairos.
I really don't know. And I think the trailer had some shots. So like we broke down, Mick and I were going like shot by shot, and some have had like the scav graffiti and stuff that people pointed out on Twitter that I feel like we do see like proof that we are on Elp at some point. I think that's a safe assumption. But I think the tongue-in-cheek thing that is going to probably go like, oh my God, we're insane. How do we miss this? Is probably the name the Timekeeper has a lot more in it that we could be unpacking. But then two, Sam Winkler tweeting so much every time there's a joke about like crash more moons or do more things with the moons, he'll post that picture of Elpis crashing through, and it's always just like a laugh meme like, yeah, fuck up the moon, like fuck up more moons. But like I think it's more significant than anything than we think, because the whole point of us going somewhere else, I think, is to open our universe, because we did that in 3, being able to travel different planets. And I do think on that note, there is something interesting about making the retcon of Maya not being, and don't even know if I should call it a retcon, but making Maya not being able to use Iridium and all the other sirens, but having her kind of unlock how to do it by studying on Athenas again. Like, what ancient knowledge is there from that of these monks or something like that? And so if we're expanding our lore and world, like, of course, this universe is bigger than the Crimson Raiders, and it's bigger than Pandora, and it's bigger than these Vault Hunters. But then what is so perfect order here that keeps all this out? And is the Timekeeper objectively bad for that? This is me, like, I can fix him kind of vibe. But like, I think the point is that this is a completely different situation than our chaotic Vault Hunter, normal Borderlands vibe is getting into. And there has to be something genuinely high stakes for that to be. This cannot just be, oh, we're Vault Hunters hunting for a vault. We're doing this. Oh, we want power. Here we go. Like, we are disturbing something. We're too close to someone in a urinal. We're seeing something we're not supposed to see. And there's going to be consequences for it.
Yeah, I think Randy foreshadowed as well in one of these interviews that the Timekeeper has a plan. I mean, I'm going to try and find the direct quote, but he said that the Timekeeper has devious intentions. Okay, hold on. I got the article here. It's in Japanese. Okay, I'm translating it. So he mentions that he hasn't appeared in Borderlands until now, but he's been mentioned. Imagine a more sinister presence than the Emperor in the Star Wars world. That's the Timekeeper. He comes to this scenario with a creepy, sinister plan. And Anthony says he crushes the mask, signaling the clash of the two forces. He's a very dangerous man, and he's a big threat to the Vault Hunters in the game. So that, I mean, it kind of like is hinting at what his intention is, but like what him in front of the vault then, so what, how is he threatening the Vault Hunters? Like, surely he's got to be like, whatever's in that vault is bad for everyone and everything, because why would he be a threat to the Vault Hunters? Like, what, I mean, sure, everyone's a threat to the Vault Hunters, that's the point.
Everyone's hunting for a vault, and we have an enemy everywhere. Yeah, but why specifically us? Why are we the problem?
Yeah, exactly. Why is he a threat to the Vault Hunters? And why is he crushing the mask to signal the clash between those two forces? Like, I truly think like what they're going to do with the Timekeeper isn't time travel, isn't multiverse. It's he knows time because he's the Timekeeper. And I think he just has extended knowledge of what needs to be done or what he is capable of doing. Because him crushing the mask and them saying that he's coming to the scenario with a creepy and sinister plan. Like what is that? Like, what is that? Like, what is your plan? Like, again, I think he knows what's in that. I don't think that's his vault, but I do think he knows what's in that vault, and he's altering it to do what he wants. And I wonder if they'll go with a Great Reset theory.
I love
if they'll, you know.
I love that you're talking about something that's hypothetical that isn't even like, this is just theories that we're making right now, and my brain is like, oh, I love him. Like, yeah, look at him, my Timekeeper, fan cam.
You're like, I can fix him. I'm like, yeah, I think he's gonna end the universe.
You're making me love him more. I'm genuinely like sitting here like vibrating. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. Like, oh my God, he's probably like, he'd have the power. Think how powerful he'd have to be to like manipulate what's in the vault. But no, I do like that theory, and I do think there's something to be said about like, we're talking so much about the Watcher and the Seer and people who literally have the foresight that our characters don't have, and they're trying to make something happen. And so it would make sense if like Timekeeper is him keeping the timeline that he's on, and not in a multiverse way, but in the, this is a thread I'm following, these are the order of events, this is when this has to happen. And then Elpis crashing in wasn't part of that plan. And so people vaults opening, people getting access, getting hungry for that. He needs to collect them at the right time, or he needs to build one at the right time, or change it to do what he needs to do in a different way from just harness a vault monster for your power to take over the world, like snap of your fingers. But that is the core of the warrior there. And then if that's why we needed to stop the destroyer in the first place, of Neri doing all this to temporarily hold this off from people controlling like a vault monster inside. And we even go to Tyrene when you consume the power of a vault monster in there. Like, how do you raise the stakes on any of those? Because you can't just repeat the stakes and you can't just make it more casual than that. So it has to be bigger than all of that to be a formidable villain to us at that point in this franchise.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, whatever he's doing, and him being called the Timekeeper, and having not seen him before, and having Kairos be shielded away. I don't think he's new to Kairos. I think he inhabits this place. So why is it hidden away? Like, to me, this gives off, like, Dr. Doofenshmirtz, my new evil invention. Like, the reset the universe-inator. Like, maybe he's just been interrupted by Elpis, but now he's like, this fits into my plan. Sure, whatever. Like, I really... Like, whenever I talk about this, I'm trying my best not to let go of the significance of his vault, because Randy mentions it, which is weird. That's weird.
Yeah.
He mentions his vault is different. He's called the Timekeeper, and the only thing that in my mind makes sense for the risky outcome of this game is either that is not a prison like most vaults, it's a safe, which is similar to a prison. I mean, either way, they're keeping something away from someone. And the Seventh Siren is inside, which is why Elpis has been drawn to Kairos. Or he has been working on a project to reset the universe. Maybe he's doing it for the sake of the Guardians. I don't know. And that vault is his workshop. Like, whatever he's got in there is how he's going to do it. Because... like, why are they warring too, right? Like, what are they warring?
Yeah,
about?
what's your beef here? Like, what's fine?
Yeah,
like, it's cool.
Yeah, what is the beef on Kairos as well? Like, is it that vault? Like, what do the Rippers actually want? Like, that's weird.
Yeah, people have been really focused on, like, well, masks don't work like that on Pandora, the Psycho Mask, like, powering people up like that. I'm like, obviously, there is augmented things here. I think it'd be interesting if the Timekeeper in that is almost like a lich, where just... Because is he robot? Is he like Wilhelm, where he's turned mostly robot? Is this just his mask and how he is? Is this a young person who's been doing this? Or is this someone who has lived a lot longer than they should have, because the way they're extending or doing things and controlling this balance? And like, it's one of the lines in the Hunger Games, I think it's in Catching Fire or something like that, that stick with me with these type of dictator characters. Like, Snow comes to threaten Katniss, basically. And it's just like, they're uprisings, and then if you can do this, then what's up everyone else, so you need to like be on our side. And she was like, it must be a fragile system if it can be brought down by a few berries. And he's like, indeed it is, but not in the way you may think. And I think that's so true for like very like the dictatorship, that very carefully controlled perfect order, is that the tiniest thing can cause that ripple effect that completely destroys something that is so oppressive and so built. And so if it's something catastrophic like Elvis coming in, then did that start the war that's already happening down there? Did this power, the proximity of Elpis, like awaken something, or did the Krakening basically happen down on this new planet? Did we give this Iridium power? Do the Vault Hunters coming to threaten this vault? Does it know what's happening? Like, what is our actual motive here? Like, what is our goal other than just open vault, find Lilith? Because if we're not, as a playable character, like playing Nancy Drew, trying to find Lilith, and if we're not just trying to go to the vault, and we need to do something about the Timekeeper, which is the language Randy keeps using, he's like, you're gonna have to do something about him. Like, this is a much more sinister person than Handsome Jack. You're gonna need to do something about him. What's more sinister than Jack by the end, if people want to like vilify Jack, because he's a villain, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, like, Jack had the warrior. Everyone knew the warrior would have the ability to just wipe the earth clean if it wanted to. Well, not as bad as the Destroyer. The Destroyer literally is the size of a planet. He could probably fucking swallow Pandora like it's a little bite.
he could Thanos it in a heartbeat, yeah.
Yeah, but like, Jack, in the grand scheme of things, would get crushed by the Timekeeper. It looks like
Yeah.
so it's just that question of what is going on here. And again, like, why they're warring to begin with is weird. Like, that's what I just can't wrap my head around, because he's overseeing the war, but like, Callus is on the ground with her troops, but he's not. So I'm just like, why? Like, this guy just seems so odd. It's like we know everything about him and nothing at the same time.
And I
He
love
he's
him.
just he's just you know what I mean? He's just ruling from above. He's just like an alpha male. He's just fucking chilling there. And again, he's that vault is just it's throwing me through a loop because it does look man-made. But what kind of being can make its own vault and actually do anything with it? Because I would have thought, if anything, we could have done that ourselves by now.
I like
So
that
if he's,
idea.
you know,
I like the idea if it's something that's like maybe it started purple, or maybe he like the vault came here, or no, that it's a portal to another vault, something like that. But if we're going with the theory of it, go back to the magic got turned off and on again kind of vibe of we're keeping this knowledge away from people. What if he's found a way to augment the vault to enter a different portal? Because we know vaults exist in a different dimension. So maybe the dimension we're going into and where Lilith is trapped in this thing is a dimension that we're allowed quote unquote access to after that. And we're trying to keep what he's doing away from our hands. And so what if he's like updated these glyphs basically to be able to access that knowledge and power that we aren't supposed to have? And so maybe they were always originally that golden, or maybe that's just his touch of it for like the way he's channeling that power. But it could be something that like that's actually like a different dimension. We're going to a different portal of vault, and why we need that to find Lilith, because she's actually in this interdimensional space versus this vault, and why the vault seems so insignificant in that way. And because that's the thing, if we go back to the a TPS vault being the most significant, it's already opened when we get there. Like
yeah, yeah, it
we
is
don't
open.
see that process. We don't see what it looks like. Maybe that is more what it's supposed to be or closer to that. And that's why they were so carefully guarding that and like sending Lilith through unlike these other vaults.
But yeah, again, it's odd because like in the pre-sequel, the Guardians are just guarding the vault. And we didn't really see anything like that since Borderlands 1, I think, right? Where the Guardians watched over the vault.
Yeah, no,
And
we don't have
then
him too.
yeah, and then they're absent in 2. They're absent in 3. Apart from, I mean, they are there for the Grave Ward vault, but I think there's some lore there with those two Guardians.
And there was like
Um
mention throughout, yeah, but nothing like intense.
yeah, and well, actually, you know what's interesting? I'm wrong. They are there for the Rampagers vault. So I don't. Where do they like the Guardians? To me, I don't want to say they don't make sense, but their motives are unclear to me. It's like, do you want the vault left alone, or are you trying to get into it yourself? Like, are you trying to get out of it? Like, because there are like when you go into the vault of the Rampager, there's those like blue wisps, and I think I've seen a theory saying that these are souls. These are Guardian souls. There's like a really good theory on that, and there's like something to do with like glyphs and stuff. But it's just like if that's the deal with the vaults with the Guardians, what is the deal with this Chaos Vault? Because it's so mysterious, and in every Borderlands game nearly, there's always a looming threat of why you have to open the vault. Like
Yeah.
in Borderlands 2, you had to open the vault before Jack did. Like you absolutely could not let Jack get into that vault. In the pre-sequel, you had to get into the vault to stop Zarpedon and whatnot. In Borderlands 3, you know, obviously the Destroyer. So like, again, they're upping the ante in every game. So what is it in for? And that's, I'll give them credit. Like I can't even predict this. I genuinely can't predict this, and I do look forward to seeing if they land it, because I do want to see Gearbox land it. Like I want to see them succeed here. Like
I'm genuinely
I
rooting
hate
for
to see
them.
them not.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm praying for them because I'd love to see them do something truly unique here that sends the fan base into a frenzy of just excitement with what happens at the end of the game. Um, and again, like how do you get bigger than a monster that could swallow the galaxy? Like maybe it is a portal. Maybe it's a portal to an alternate universe. I know they said they weren't. I think did they say they're not doing time travel and stuff? But like they don't have to do it just by entertaining the idea.
Yeah.
Like what if it is a portal to an alternate reality and the timekeeper wants to drag everyone through it with him?
I think also like there was isn't there a bit in 3 where Tanis says something about the Great Vault like not actually be the Great Vault because the power inside, like they've had the key, and she thinks the knowledge that was in the vault, the Clips has already had.
It's interesting because what is the Great Vault actually? If you think about it, if the Great Vault is Pandora, what was the vault that we were at that Troy had? Like, that's odd, right? Like there was another vault.
And that's the thing. There's just so many. There are so many. Looming is the right word you use there, where it's just like there's the ongoing threat that isn't really necessarily explained, but like underneath that, we're still vault hunters going, hell yeah, loot. Like let's go get the thing. Like we're still vault hunters for the fame of being a vault hunter. Like that's the whole thread of that there, and why it makes sense to like go. But I think the biggest part that we've always have Siren in our vault hunters being a limited amount of sirens in the universe, and why we've had this note that like at some point in their life they will inexplicably be drawn to Pandora. And the fact that we're removing Pandora from the equation right now and doing this with a new planet and doing this with Elpis and whatever, did Lilith choose where this went to? Was this the key for this new planet? Was this instead of Pandora? Like maybe that's the issue. Maybe it wasn't supposed to open Pandora, it was supposed to open here. Like who fucking knows? We have no idea. These are all theories. I'm talking fully out of my ass, but I think that is the one missing piece of the stuff they've hinted at and expanded at and raised the stakes on is we've never had a concrete explanation of why they're drawn to Pandora. We've just theorized it's about like the iridium in there, and that's it. But since the iridiums don't even know where sirens came from, why would that be it other than that's helping their power source? So maybe this place was protected from sirens if we're saying the Watcher and Seer, like the sirens are the problem, eradicate them. Maybe this place was protected from us and all of that, and now a Siren Vault Hunter has phase walked a moon into this world.
Yeah, especially because like the Seer mentions the course being offset. The Scourge says something about doing what the Watcher could not, which is weird because the only thing I can think of is like when you get to Minos Prime, it's all fucking exploded from the inside. So I'm like, wait, what was the Watcher supposed to do then? If this is was the Watcher supposed to destroy Elpis? Like I don't know. Like there's so many unanswered questions, and I truly hope it's not just them fucking yapping. Like I actually hope there's significance to everything that's been said up until this point. And we don't just end Borderlands 4 how we ended Borderlands 3 with being like, okay, so where's the Watcher? Like great, like Nereid mentions the Watcher, but where are they? What was the point in the pre-sequel? Like I hope we don't end this game with the same questions. Because the Timekeeper's cool, but in my opinion, like the way Borderlands 4 story needs to be done now is to wrap up everything in a bow tie. Because if this is the last like grand Borderlands game and there is no Borderlands 5, they've got to go out with a bang. And if it doesn't end here, if they do go to Borderlands 5, is it gonna happen as a great reset? Like I do wonder what would happen. I mean, I think like the game designer in me is like, there's no way they can reset the universe at the end of the game because that just wouldn't make any sense. Like, how does DLC work then? How does a second playthrough work? Like, it just doesn't make it that doesn't make sense from my point of view. So I don't think they'll pull the trigger on any looming possibility of that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put it past them to entertain the idea for like a quote threat of the story.
Yeah, like maybe we're on the precipice of it or something, because with Borderlands community itself, we scream a lot about in-game replayability and just in-game in a way that a lot of other games don't scream about. And I think it would make it really difficult if we did make it like a finger snap thing. Like New Tales isn't going to be touching this game and the concept of stuff like the crystal, but it would make sense to have any type of like factory reset or at least bow tie wrap up on what we know of Pandora and these people. And we're exploring other parts of this universe now. Like whatever this is, I do think this is probably the last we're going to see of the Raiders and this cast of people in this capacity, at least. Like I think we'll have graphic novels and maybe side games and stuff like that. But like I do think we're going to try to wrap up that because it makes sense that how much more can you keep raising the stakes from where we're at?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have one wish. I mean, if Sam Winkler's listening, please kill Lilith. I fucking hate Lilith so much. I was very anti on the whole Lilith theories before about like it being her fault. And I posted it on Twitter and got a ton of hate for it. But like legitimately, she is the cause of most of the problems we've had so far. Like, had she have not gotten involved in the majority of situations she's been in, stuff could have been avoided. Like, if she had just listened to Roland, didn't go down there, Jack might not have ever got her. Like, it is very possible. she knew the Vault of the Rampager was like a death trap and let Maya go down there. That's crazy work to me. Like, it's time. Can the timekeeper keep her dead?
Honestly fair to think about, because I'm like thinking about it. Like, Steel is our problem in 1. Lilith creates all the shit in 2. Angel tries to like subvert it in 2, or she creates in TBS. Angel tries to subvert in 2, but then still is the conduit and everything in 2, and fucking does her thing. Lilith in 3, phase walks the moon, fucks it up. Maya goes in, gets yeeted, and Tyrene and Troy are the sirens now destroying everything. Like, we've had sirens fucking up shit in this universe every single game. Yeah, so maybe the Watcher's right.
What happens now?
Kill all the sirens.
What happens now?
Literally.
Like, I think this game ends with Lilith dying, though. I do. I think I don't think it's going to end with her dying, because that would be very cliche to what happened at the end of Borderlands 3. And it's going to lead to people being like, oh, is she actually dead? But I do think she dies. I think it's the right move narratively at this point. What's interesting to me, though, speaking of this, is why Elpis is glowing purple from the inside.
Yeah.
Like that's weird. Like, that's weird. It's like, they mention Keros is a powder keg waiting to explode by the time we get there. But like, hello, like, what about Elpis?
You're like, what about our currently exploding planet?
Yeah, like, what's interesting? If you look at the end of the trailer, it's significantly more like convex, I guess is a term you could use for it. Like, there's more debris floating away from Elpis.
Yeah.
I'm like, what happens when it opens? Like, sure, like, you took Elpis away from Pandora, but what's going to happen if Elpis explodes now? Does all of that power get released into the universe? Does it reopen? Genuinely, what happens now? Because, yeah, you took it away, but, like, we thought Pandora was safe because she destroyed Elpis, but now we know that's not the case at all. So can the Great Vault actually still open? Because, like, it's still there. It's glowing purple.
What I think would be really cool to look at in this universe that we haven't really before is that there's, like, every decision we make is so selfish and everything, and self-serving in Borderlands, obviously. Like, we need to go stop Jack, we need to do this, we need to, like, whatever. Because that is our point of view as our character. What if there were decisions that had to be made around us? Like, we're not on Pandora. What if doing something has a chain reaction we're not there for, and we're having this accountability with other characters where we aren't just, like, doing our own thing? Like, what if one of our actions would save Pandora but destroy this, and we're not allowed to save Pandora, so Pandora is fucking destroyed if it's not already? Like, little things like that. I think having the world expand to have something that has more power over us, and not even in the sinister villain way, but just in things we're having to do to feel like these consequences and these decisions have weight. Because the way people reacted to Ava and Maya, I think, is the no behind the note is, like, we need some kind of, like, stakes and agency and something that feel like a threat. Because I stand by, and I think Sam's confirmed this on Twitter and stuff too, that, like, Maya was dying in that vault regardless. Like she was dead when she walked in there. And Tyrene and Troy probably knew that from all the foresight they had anyway. But, like, there was no way Maya was walking out of there. And things like that feel rushed at times when it's this kind of game and going there. So what if we had something that is very much not choice-based, but very much makes it feel like we're having to make this decision. We have to be the ones to destroy Pandora. We have to be the ones to destroy Elpis. Like, some consequence like that, because we haven't, as a player, had to deal with our consequences. It's just been happening around us.
Yeah, I think there was a line that maybe foreshadowed that the Vault Hunters were the problem. And I kind of like that narrative decision, because it's just like, we are the problem, and yet to us, we don't think we are. But it's like, if we are the problem, why haven't the Guardians stepped in yet? Why hasn't the Watcher stepped in yet? To defend the people trying to stop us. Like, it puts everything into perspective. Like, it's a really, really weird situation. And yeah, I do wonder if this is, like, the last straw in BL4. Like, is this when they're like, all right, this is enough? Like, this has gone on long enough? Because my prediction for Borderlands 4 is that there is something under the surface they've not revealed yet. I don't think the Rippers and the Order is the only thing
Oh no.
in this game. I think there's something bigger, something they haven't revealed that they're holding on to. There's always a big reveal in a Borderlands game or a big event that happens. Like they did the Bloodwing death, they did the Maya death, like they had Jack getting the thing punched onto his face, which was like, holy shit, like that's crazy. They got to do something in this game. And I don't know if it's going to be. I mean, I think it's the reveal of the seventh siren, but yeah, I don't know. I don't like that. They for once they've actually got me like fully captivated on the story of like what are they going to do now?
I know,
Because
I haven't
again,
had this
I
feeling
want
in a
them to
while.
land.
Like, yeah, I want it to land, and I feel like I'm getting like dopamine from the tinfoil hat theory, where I'm just like, okay, like this is actively fun to think about. I'm being like the excitement of where this could go, not knowing where it's going, not even really having preference of where it goes. I just want it to land it well, whatever it is. And it's why I'm really hoping, I'm really hoping people are just fucking chill this year and there are no leaks about shit, because I want them to have time to really get this right. And people are so quick to judge and be like, I hate this, or not see stuff in context. Because I feel like if this is something where if they can deliver the story the way they want to deliver it, like I'm really big about that with like Last of Us 2. Like I'm very protective of like not talking about spoilers from that game, because it did ruin a lot of people's experience playing it. And I think it's a masterpiece when you sit there and play it, And it's one of those things, going in prejudging of it can't be good for anyone. And it's so ambitious, even just mechanically, what like we've talked about this week on Twitter and in these interviews that they're just letting slip out, that I feel like would be big reveals. I'm like, if they're willing to tell us this far out, that's pretty locked in, because they're not going to take that back. And it just, this could be a massive game in both opening up this franchise to more IP, more people, adaptations, whatever. And also just giving us a new leg to follow, like giving us a new legacy outside of these mainline games of like what we know with the Raiders, and redefining that genre again, which is something Borderlands does really well as someone who straddles the genre. I don't know. I have such high hopes for it. And I know people I think people are afraid mostly to be wrong. Like, I think people just don't want to be excited and hopeful for it and then be disappointed by it and then feel like they look stupid. But I feel like it's so much better for everyone to be hyped for it. Like, there's no harm of being wrong. And I get the getting your expectations up kind of sucks sometimes, but nothing I've seen about this genuinely, like, I don't get the criticisms of stuff I've seen. We've seen so little to be able to make authoritative statements on, like, I think this design is bad, or this would be bad mechanically for the game. We don't fucking know what they're doing. And I think that's exciting. The fact that they've told us they're making effort to make seamless load and, crossplay on launch. And I can't even remember all the stuff they've announced this week at this point. Like, that is massive, and a step forward in these games that I love so much, that I cannot wait to see if it's executed well.
Yeah, and I think no one knows more than Gearbox how important it is to land this game. Like,
oh yeah,
it's crucial. It is absolutely crucial. And again, like I was saying, like with the leaks, because I was talking to Birdman about it, and he was like, with the Emily Swan stuff, like, why don't we just tweet out and see if they'll confirm if it's true or not? And I was like, why? Like, why? Even if it is true, like, what do we have to gain from that? Like, this theory crafting and the energy in the air and people being excited is silencing a lot of other negative talk out, which I'm not even going to bring up, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot of stupid fucking shit that just isn't going to impact anyone that's playing the game. It's just there to squander the growth of the game. And so to have this energy in the air and have people talking about it is really, really nice. And again, no leaks this time around for what's going to happen in the story, whereas we really did have that the first time. And like, pretty sure like the Tannis being a siren thing got revealed ahead of time, and whether or not those are good story beats and good reveals is another question, but like having it revealed ahead of time against people's will, I think just really, really was bad for the game and how it was received. There was an inherent bias here, but we can't really have a bias to what's going to happen in the story because we don't know. Like, me as someone who's played the game since 2009, I was like, what are they doing with this story? Like, where are we going? Is this, like, I think I said it, K6 said it, I think a bunch of people said it when they first saw the face-off, was like, is this the war? Because we're like, I think someone said from Gearbox at one point that the war wasn't BO3, and whether or not we know if that's true or not, like, it's certain that this is a war, and all wars are supposed to hold significance in some way. So why is this one significant? And the biggest question that I've got on my mind as well is like who are the Rippers? Because, like, you know what I mean? Like, they look like psychos, they're modeled after psychos, but how are they here? How are they on Kairos? And it does make me wonder if the Timekeeper is almost like the Maker from Wonderlands in a way, as
that would be
playing
cool.
their own game. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, I wonder. Okay, like just like imagine this: like if the Rippers are modeled after psychos, and the Timekeeper can look back in time and see that to model them off of it and be like, okay, this would be interesting. Let's make someone that looks like the psychos. It's like, who's he modeling the Order off of? Because they look like those Iridian statues we've seen, and I'm like, wait, does he know what the Iridians look like? And what? And again, it just goes back to this mindset of like, does the Timekeeper legitimately have access to a library of time? Because if he does, there is huge implications there.
Yeah. No, you're so right. You're so fucking right.
Yeah,
I'm just...
there's
so much.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
It is.
I'm praying they use the right bits from it too, as well, and don't take the bad stuff. Because again, like I said, like if he can bring people back, which I think there's been rumblings about, it's like no one said he'd bring back people we were cool with.
Yeah. Which, you want to bring back Jack? You just...
Yeah,
just,
like they
just
want to bring back Handsome Jack.
Your bro.
Which would be crazy if they brought back Handsome Jack and then Timothy turned into Jack and there was two Jacks.
Two Jacks. Too much for me.
That would be a fucking crazy story.
Christmas Day.
I know people are sick of Jack, but I'm like, come on, you can't sit there and like you are objectively wrong if you're like it wouldn't make sense for him to come back. You can dislike it, but to say it wouldn't make sense is just objectively wrong. There are so many ways he can return.
I truly want to see them like expand past everything and give us new villains that we fall in love with and new characters we fall in love with and all of that. However, more Jacks are a bad thing. Like it's just it just works. It works really well. He's so quintessentially Borderlands that I think that threat inherently is there, that excitement would be there, and I get the fear of jumping the shark. I feel like the way you beat it over the head is just like always bringing Timothy back and not really doing anything with that, and just like being able to like have like, aha, it's a Jack gimmick, and it not be that. Like at some point, I still stand firm that I think they have a SOS button for bringing him back. I don't think we'll see it in 4. I don't think he's in 4, but I do think that there's every possibility that if this became like a Resident Evil situation where we had to completely revamp the franchise, absolutely hit that button, baby.
Yeah, and I see people saying constantly like, if they bring Jack back, I won't play it, and I'm like, yes, you will. Stop that. Stop saying that. Like, are we really gonna forget the reception to Handsome Jackpot when it got announced? Like, what was it? Literally a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, by the time people see this, is like they tweeted out, the Borderlands account said something like "Ready for Kairos, kiddos," and everyone was like, "Oh my god, Handsome Jack!" It's like, wait, don't you guys hate him? Don't you not want him back? Like, you're the first people to talk about Jack the moment the word kiddo is used, but you don't want him back.
Literally.
Like, I think I'm detecting some lies here.
I think it goes back to people not wanting to be wrong, or people not wanting them to ruin the idea. I'm a big believer of like, if you hate what's new, you still have the thing that exists in the past that you love. Like, it doesn't ruin anything by that. Like, I love Dexter. I hated the last season of Dexter. It doesn't exist in my brain. I'll go watch earlier seasons. And I feel like that's true of like, Jack came back and you didn't like it. You still have Borderlands too. It doesn't ruin everything. But people who say they don't want Jack back and then they haven't played Tales or seen anything like this, I'm like, you have no idea what you're missing. Like oh god, he's just, oh god. I don't know if you know this. I love Jack.
He's a great character. He's a great character. He's got so much depth.
He's so unique. And so much stuff that people ignore. People want to come in and tell me he's just a fucking asshole who hates his kid and is a dictator. I'm like, you don't get him. And that's fine. But like, there's so much depth and so much interesting, like, just jump off points we haven't even looked at yet with him. And the fact that we still don't know who his wife was, and, you know, like, it just, there's so much there that could be fleshed out if they needed to or wanted to. And I think that a character like that being such a face of the franchise is like an honor. And that's something you don't want to really fuck up because he's such a unique character to Borderlands. And I've never seen a piece of media be able to do that type of character the same way. Some have come close where I've been like, that's the closest thing to the Handsome Jack in TV I've seen or something like that, but it's never hit it quite the same. And I just hope if they do tease him and bring him back or do something like that, like I hope there's a teaser of something in a DLC or for something that could be that a throwback. I don't just want to be like, oh yeah, here's a picture of his mask. Someone out here saw something. I want some ominous slime that's going to feed my brain worms for another 6 years. That's what I want, even if they do nothing with it, because he has that power. There's just it's the reason we have so much of what we do, because without him, we wouldn't have the pre-sequel, we wouldn't have Tales, and it just, I think, makes the franchise better as a whole that we have that, which is why I get they're cautious about bringing him back, and I don't think the fucking Timekeeper is Jack.
Yeah, I think the Timekeeper being Jack there is a 0% chance of that happening. Like I just can't see it. I am curious of like who Callus is though. Like
Yeah.
I mean, they're giving all the attention to the Timekeeper. It's like who's Callus, because that chick is crazy. Like she's got those 2 huge arms. And I'm like, who is, like, are we working with her or are we working against her? And also, like whenever we talk about this, I keep asking myself, like, where does Elpis fit into all of this? Because I think that Famitsu article kind of confirmed we're going to be back on Elpis.
Yeah.
But she doesn't look like she comes from Elpis. But we've seen shots from the trailer, which, if you look at the skybox, you can kind of piece together that it is on Elpis. And the Rippers are there. So it's just like, it's to me, it seems like the Order won't be on Elpis, but the Rippers will.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what? Like, why are the Rippers on Elpis? Where's the Kragans?
True. Where's the fucking Kragan? I need to go farm for my moonstones.
Yeah. Where's the Kragans? Because I mean, it doesn't really undo like. I'm kind of worried about how they're going to handle Elpis in this game, because I'd hate to see it be an erasure of the pre-sequel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think it will be.
I don't either. I think it's in good hands. How dare I
Janie
be
Springs.
positive? Dude, please give me my moon lesbian, please. They'll never will, but like, she deserves more.
Janie Springs and Athena. That would be a great way to do Athena too. Bring her back with Janie. Aren't they like literally dating or something?
They're married now. They got married, engaged, playing their wedding. It's my favorite. It's so good. Oh my god. No, I love them so much. They're just, god, Janie's so thirsty. It's so
Janie's thirsty.
She is. She has so many lines. Just like if you're playing Athena, she has some like forward as fuck lines in there. But even just like talk about Moxie, like everything, she is just so aggressive. Like, hey, I'm gay. You're hot. Hey, by the way, hey, hi.
I was getting gameplay for a video the other day, and I was playing on Wilhelm, of course, and she said this like line, and I think Wilhelm was like, "Oh, you into me?" And she's like, "Sorry, Wilhelm, not that direction."
It's so good. Yeah. The propaganda mission. Yeah.
She's like, even when she's not hitting on a chick, she's reminding you, like, yeah, I'm into chicks. I like that.
Yeah, I love when you're playing Nisha, because then Nisha has a like, I prefer the handsome type or something like that. Like, I would prefer him handsome anyway, or something like that. When she's like, yeah, I'm into women, you're like, not my type. It's so good.
Sequel has just got aura. That game is so good. Like,
truly, it does, and it's
good.
It's such a horny game in so many ways. Like, Nisha just stands around and she's just like, God, I want to choke something or be choked. Like, she just out of pocket nowhere. The game is unapologetically just, we have full vibes here in every direction, and I love it. It's like we're committing to lore, we're committing to mechanic Moxie, we're committing to like drunk Lil and Roland at this bar, we're committing to treason. We're like, it just goes so many directions. I'm like, I dig it.
Well, they even went like the claptrap lore. Like there was a lot of claptraps established, and then like they wrapped in how all the claptraps died at the start of Borderlands 2. It's like I truly would upset people saying it, but like the more time goes on and the more I go to replay it, the more I'm just like, I just think pre-sequel is a better game than 2. I think 2 has more end game, but I just think as a game, you'll get more enjoyment out of pre-sequel.
I think it was you who said, because if it wasn't you, I attributed it to you earlier when I was talking to my girlfriend, but had it said that if two had its full cycle, it would be the game that people are playing instead of two right now. And I do agree with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like
If pre-sequel got that full cycle, absolutely.
because it fixed so many of the issues of like in-game balancing and stuff in two, but like there's just no the gear acquisition and TPS is its biggest weakness. And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
isn't replayable in that same way. You can't even like I've talked about like, hey, can we try to do a hunt this way? But like it's so difficult with the little amount of gear and then the way to acquire gear and TPS comparatively. And it breaks my heart because I want more exposure on that game because so many people either just didn't play it or don't consider it a main game. I'm like, y'all are sleeping on this masterpiece.
Yeah, it's that, and it's also the like the balancing. Like it takes so long to level up from like 50 to 70. The
Yeah.
XP grind is just absolutely awful. So it's got its shortcomings, but overall, like narratively, I think it's the strongest Borderlands game
Oh
still
yeah.
to date. I don't think
I
it's even close.
definitely say it's the best friend of the shooters. And then it was developed and written at the same time as Tales was. So like they work so well together because it was intentionally woven together. And so it makes sense that those are the two strongest games in the franchise narratively.
Yeah, I truly think it's a special game, and to see it not get its full DLC cycle, I think is still like that hurts me the most to this day. Like not seeing like the shortcomings of BL3, no extra rare, raid boss. That's one thing, but it's like if I could change anything in Borderlands history, it probably would be the pre-sequel dilemma. I just wish that game got everything it deserved. Because it like you go back to play it now, it's so good. There's so much personality oozing from that game, and now going into Borderlands 4, like and seeing people go back and play it for the first time. Like I've had people in my comments be like, "I'm playing pre-sequel now for the first time to catch up," all because of like an Emily Swan thing.
I
And I'm
love
like, bro,
that.
like
God bless
that's
you.
not even like the most significant thing pre-sequel has to offer going into Borderlands 4, because Elpis, learning about Elpis is important now. Now we're going to need to know. Because I think. Do you think we're going to get returning areas from Elpis?
Oh, that would be cool. I would like to see like kind of how we had Firestone turn into what it is into. If we had Concordia, kind of the remnants of that at the
Yeah.
very least. I could see doing that if it's been a place that's been abandoned or the Krakening really just borked it or Lilith doing what she did. Like there could be so many reasons why it's just a completely different hellscape. But I would love to see those areas revisited like that.
Someone mentioned to me the possibility of the grinder coming back because
Ooh,
we're going back to Elpis, and I was like, the grinder in today's Borderlands works.
it does.
Like I think grinding weapons, and there's so much they can do with that. Like, can you only grind certain takedown weapons by, maybe you need one takedown weapon and two world drops? Like, I'm not against the grinder returning.
I think that would be fun, especially since people are complaining about the overabundance of, legendary drops and stuff like that. Because two, I stand by is too stingy with stuff, but then that's a whole balancing fight that we all know where that's going. But if four has the same, like there's so many guns, therefore we have more drops, and this feels weird. Like if you have a bunch of guns you don't use that are higher levels, but like you're missing that one piece, it could fill in a gap from like we need a higher rarity or something like that. If it's specifically like an anoint type gun, something like that, or like how we had the Loonshine and things. Like if you had to have specific recipes again, but in a very, very specific manner to get something that is going to help us later, like it could be a cool optional thing that I think we haven't explored.
Yeah, I know Lewis was theorizing the other day to me. He said like one of the beam that the siren is firing in the trailer
Yeah,
looks
the laser gun.
awfully similar to like a Loonshine on the site. He was like, "What is that weird purple glow around the site, and the little things coming off it have like markings?" And I was like, I don't think it's Loonshines, but with Elpis coming back, like the only
You
way
can't
for me
rule it
I
out.
think they can do anoints right is to do Loonshines. Loonshine was such a cool mechanic because you could ignore it. You literally did not need a
So
gun
many people don't
Loonshine.
know about it. I'll mention it like streaming or something, and people genuinely don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
it's very cool. It's a cool mechanic because it's so subtle, but it's like an extra thing to do.
I love it. I'm excited. Okay, you have to come back though because we need to talk. When I do want to dive into like your modding and things like that. I would love to talk more about Redux and just the fact that you've touched so many of the games. That's a weird way to phrase it, but you know what I mean. Like you
I've been
are
up
so
in the guts.
you're really getting real familiar, real intimate with these games. But no, you just have such a unique perspective of it. I really want to drag you back on to talk about that because I feel like we could talk about the actual design of it and stuff that goes into it that people don't even notice for fucking hours. That's our show. Thank you so much for joining us this week on DLC Required. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, do all the crazy things. Go follow EpicNNG, follow Speaking Line, follow all the cool guests we've had lately, and we have a lot more cool people coming up for this new year. If you're excited for Borderlands 4, let me know what you're most excited to see or any questions you may have because my god, we're going to be diving into it. And also any of the other games we see coming out this year or even next. If you're excited for Witcher, GTA, Intergalactica, any of these fun ones, let me know. Let's talk about it. See you later, guys. Happy holidays.